Hello, everyone. We'll begin today standing at the top of our mats. This is going to be an all levels Vinyasa flow. So take any modifications you need. I recommend working with 2 blocks, whether you're new to the practice or you have an established practice. And also, if you want some sort of cushioning for underneath the knees or the hips, or just a nice cushion for your Shavasana at the end, you can get those now. If you don't have any blocks at home, you can use books or any sort of box that might allow the ground to be a little bit closer to you. So you can find yourself at the top of your mat, feet about hips width distance, not really trying to make the body do anything right now, just arriving in our space on our mats, closing the eyes down, tuning into the breath. We ask so much of our bodies throughout the day, and so rarely do we take the moment to listen to what our bodies are asking of us. And so today I invite you in a shared intention to listen to what your body is telling you, to be open and non-judgmental to any of the cues or sensations that arise during your practice. Feeling grounded through the 4 corners of the feet, you can press firmly through the toes and just feel that energy coming from the earth through the balls of the feet, that space in between the big toe mound and the pointer toe. And just use that energy to just lift you up through the legs, the torso, the shoulders, out through the head. Feeling a lightness, feeling that connection to the earth beneath us. And then on an inhale, you can keep the eyes closed or open them. And just reach your arms up overhead, harnessing the sun. And then swan dive over the legs, keeping a nice long spine for as long as you can. And then folding. And then we'll just reverse that. So keeping the spine long, reverse swan dive up, squeeze the glutes at the top, reach your arms overhead, and then swan dive all the way back down, keeping the spine long. Reverse it back up, opening towards the sky. And last time, dive over the legs. Reverse it, reach the arms overhead. And hands come through to heart center. We'll begin our practice with 1 Om. You can join me or just stand silently. So take an inhale. Taking half salutes, so we'll inhale, reach your arms overhead. Exhale, dive it down. Flatten the spine, halfway lift. So keeping your spine straight, tailbones pointing towards the sky. Hands can come out in front of you to the shins or to the thighs, whatever keeps that nice long spine. Looking out directly in front of you so that the neck is in line with the rest of your spine. Pressing through the heels to keep the glutes and the back body engaged. And then fold it down. Rise up, arms overhead. Hands come through heart center. 1 more. Inhale, upward salute. Exhale, dive it down. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to shins. Hug the belly back. Exhale, fold. rise high overhead, and hands come through center. Dive it down once again. And this time, walk your hands over to the right. The left hip is going to come forward a bit as you just feel the length in that left side body. You can walk the left hand a little bit out so that you just feel the opening there. And let your hips kind of sway, keeping the feet pointed forward, but the hips are moving to the side. And then walk yourself back through to center and walk the hands over to the left as far as feels nice. Really feeling that space in the right side body. Allow the hips to gently sway. Right hip is coming forward. And then walk yourself back on through to center. Bring your hands to the hips. Really point the pelvis towards the sky and reach your arms up overhead. Hands heart center, Samastita Hi. Coming back to the breath. Feeling any heat that's built. And then upward salute. Reach the arms overhead. Dive it down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands and step it back straight into downward facing dog. So feet are hips width distance. Stepping back on your mat, pointing the tail towards the sky. And just feel that energy again through each fingertip. So pressing down firmly, hugging the elbows towards one another, really charging up every limb is engaged. You can pedal out the feet here, so bending through one knee and then the other. Maybe sway the hips side to side, really opening through every corner of the body, just waking up what has been sleeping and shining the awareness there. And then on an inhale, bring the hips forward so that we're coming into plank. So shoulders over wrists. And then keep the hips square and really wake up your lower locks. So that's your Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha. So the Mula Bandha, we lift through the pelvic floor, and then that activates the lower belly, and we pull the belly button in towards the spine. Feeling our strength as that energy locks in and holds us steady. One more breath here. And then you can drop the knees, arch the spine, coming into cow. Heart towards the sky. And then exhale, empty cat, belly button into spine, shoulder blades pushing away from one another. And then coming back to neutral, walk the hands about a handprint in front of you, and then lower your chest and chin down, hugging the elbows in. And then snake it on forward for cobra, really hugging the elbows towards one another. Shoulder blades squeeze as the heart lifts. And then tuck the toes, make your way back, downward facing dog. Wave it on forward to plank. Hold it here. And then lower the knees. Cow, reaching up. Rounding, taking cat. Back through neutral, lowering chest and chin. Sneaking forward, low cobra. Maybe you take it a little higher this time, reaching up, really squeezing down through the legs, pressing through the feet. And then lower it down, tuck the toes, and hips go up and back, downward facing. 2 more times, coming forward to plank. Dropping the knees, cow. Exhale, cat. Neutral spine, lowering down. Hug those elbows in. Reaching the heart on through. Exhale, downward facing. Let the breath cleanse you, just releasing you from any thoughts that are trying to take you away from this practice. Just allow your consciousness to be absorbed in the breath in this moment. Wave it forward to plank. You can lower the knees or maybe just hold it here and lower through chaturanga. So coming forward onto the toes, hug the elbows in as you lower halfway, and then coming up through to upward facing dog. So knees are lifted, hips are lifted as you press to the tops of the feet and you fire up the quads. And then using your core, squeeze the belly as you lift the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. And then now we'll just take a slow walk to the top of the mat so you can bend your knees or try to keep your legs a little straight and see how far you can go using that core strength. Then you find yourself at the top of the mat. Halfway lift. Inhale. Forward fold. Exhale. Weight in the heels. Rise on up. Upward salute. Hands come through heart center, Samasthita. A few rounds of breath. Let's stay in motion, arms up overhead, upward salute. Diving down, exhale. Halfway lift, inhale. Plant the palms, step it back, plank. Lowering your way, chest or the belly. Heart shines through, Adho Mukha. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Sigh it out. 5 breaths. That's our Sun A. Keeping a bend in the knees if you feel any strain in the hamstrings. And then coming high into the balls of your feet, you can step or maybe you hop. Top of the mat. Halfway lift, inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Rise up, weight in the heels. Hands come through heart center. Exhale. Staying in motion, let's greet the sun once again. Upward salute. Diving down, forward fold. Halfway lift, strong spine. Plant the hands. If you're hopping back, hop straight to chaturanga, lowering halfway. Upward facing dog, tops of the feet pressing. Downward facing dog, exhale. High onto the balls of the feet, step or hop, top of the mat. Halfway lift. Forward fold. Upward salute, inhale. Hands come through heart center. Bring the hands to the hips. Squeeze the elbows back and the shoulder blades together. Heart lifts towards the sky. And then forward fold. Grab for the big toes. So feet are about hips width distance. Grabbing for the big toes. Allow your elbows to splay wide as you drape over the legs. Deep breaths, releasing at the jaw and the neck. Finding those places of tension and just allowing your breath to open up those congested areas. And then you can release the toes, heel toe the feet back together with a little bit of space between the heels. And then bend your knees, sinking back into chair pose. So reach the arms overhead. weight is in the heels. If you look down, you should be able to see the toes and even lift them. Maybe give them a good wiggle. Hugging the belly in. Arms are energized towards the sky. And then on an exhale, arms come behind you as you dive the chest over the legs. Downward skier, this is called. So it's like you're coming more forward into the toes now. And then as you reach the arms back up into chair, we'll come all the way up, lifting the right knee up into the chest. But then it's about a 90-degree angle out in front of you. So the arms overhead, the right leg is hovering in front of you. And we're going to take it back through a balance. So through warrior 3, begin to kick that right leg out as you tip the torso forward. Right leg is coming out behind you. Arms follow as the palms face down. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. And if you want, bring your hands to your hips and just make sure that that right hip is not hiking up, keeping them square. Squeeze the shoulder blades, lift the belly in, and then gently drop that right leg back, coming into high lunge. Reach the arms up overhead, and then bring a nice bend to that back knee so that the tail is, if it feels not too intense for that right hip flexor, straighten the leg once again. This is airplane lunge. And then we'll come back up for high lunge. 3 more times. Exhale it forward, empty. Inhale, rising up. Gaze can go towards the sky. Exhale forward and empty. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, empty. Forward, maybe you hook that right elbow on the outside of the left thigh. Hands are pressing into one another as you hug the belly back. Gaze can be, remember, there's no right or wrong way. We're being open to the way our bodies are communicating without judging them. Not judging any sensation. Or reach the arms overhead and then dive down. Hands can frame that front foot. Lift the back heel. And then reach the right arm up, opening your chest towards the sky. Coming back down to frame the front foot. Step it back to plank, flowing through your vinyasa. So lowering your way halfway or to the belly, chaturanga. Heart shines forward, upward facing dog. Tops of the feet press to the mat. Exhale, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Right leg comes out behind you for a 3-legged dog. Keep the hips square as you really reach through the heel back behind you. And then bend the knee, open this hip to the side. And take 3 big circles with the knee. So like you're using your knee to draw a nice circle oval on the ceiling. And really feel that left outer glute engaging as you activate that medial muscle. And then you can square the hips, bring the knee towards the nose and into the chest, squeeze it as you come forward into plank, and then step that right foot forward, coming on through. And then as you come on through, we're going to make our way to the top of the mat, but just balance on that right foot, and the left leg comes out behind for a little transition in warrior 3 with the hands down. And then the left foot meets the right. Fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Sink down, weight in the heels. One breath, chair pose. And then reach the arms up, hands come through right center. Mountain Tadasana. You can close the eyes down, catch the breath a little bit. And then reach the arms down. We'll just graze the mat and then reach them back up for chair. Sinking low into the heels. Feeling the heat build. And then the torso will come forward as the arms go back, downward skier. Back up for one breath, chair pose. And then we're coming back into our little balance. So coming up, weight in the right foot, left knee comes into the chest as it hovers out in front. Arms overhead, pulling the belly back as the knee is up in the sky. And then we'll tilt our torso as we bring the left leg out behind us for warrior 3. And we come forward, balancing on the right leg. Hips are square. Heart is light. Remember, it's okay to fall. We're doing this for enjoyment. And then slowly get a nice gentle bend in that right knee as you step it back into high lunge. Reach the arms overhead. You can find your stable footing. Maybe you bring the feet out a little bit wider than they were. And then once again, bring a nice little gentle bend in that back leg so that you can feel the tailbone pointed down towards the mat. And then lifting up through that Uddiyana Bandha and Mula Bandha. Reaching the arms once again overhead. And then maybe re-straighten that back leg if you can feel like the hip flexor is open enough. And then once again, we'll lean the torso forward, bringing the arms out behind. Feel the engagement through that right heel. And as you press through the right heel, notice how that fires up that right glute and just feel that whole leg working. Reaching up overhead, inhale. 3 more times, coming forward, exhale. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, dive it forward. Inhale. Exhale. Last time, inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Hands come through heart center. Begin twisting over to the right. So looking over that right shoulder. Keeping the hands at the center of your chest, then leaning forward. Maybe that left to elbow forward. Maybe that left to elbow hooks on the outside of the right knee. If it doesn't, you can stay right here. This is a great twist for the thoracic spine. And that's what we're going here for. So using the core to twist you and not the hips so much. So allowing the hips to stay square toward the front of the mat as you really get the twist through the spine. Again, if you're really feeling it and your body's asking you to take a little rest, of course, put the knee down. Take a child's pose whenever you need it. Feeling the heat, getting curious about kind of that knee-jerk response when you're in a little discomfort. Is it really asking you to pause, or is it just your mind just avoiding discomfort? And with time, when we really start to tune in and listen to our bodies, we become more discerning in what it's telling us it needs. And then reach the arms overhead, back through to high lunge. Frame this front foot. Reach the left arm overhead for a nice twisting lunge. Feeling a nice opening in that right hip. And then the hand comes down. Reach the right leg back, coming into plank pose. And lower your way. So chaturanga or all the way to the belly. Tops of the feet down, pressing the heart forward. And coming back on through to downward facing dog. 3 breaths here. Notice any changes in the body. Noticing anything that has been changed less. So what remains through all of these changing sensations? What is still present? Remain fixated on that changelessness. Come high into the balls of the feet, step or hop, top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Rising on up, greeting the sun. Hands through heart center. Bring your hands to the back of your head now. So the elbows will come out wide like this as you interlace the hands the non-dominant way. So whatever feels a little uncomfortable. And then you can just open the elbows out wide, squeeze the shoulder blades up as you reach the heart up a little bit, looking up. And then just allow your chin to come into your chest as you squeeze the elbows together, rounding yourself forward into a little condensed ball. And just vertebrae at a time, begin to roll down, getting as compact as possible, maybe bending through the knees. Just letting yourself gently drape down, squeezing through those elbows. And then generously bend the knees so that you're very much bent as you begin to roll yourself back up, pressing through the heels, coming up vertebrae by vertebrae. Opening the elbows back out wide, opening through the chest, look up, breathe in. And then we'll do that one more time. So tucking the chin towards the chest, rolling yourself down into a little compact ball, bending deeply through the knees. Maybe you come all the way down so that you're in a very small ball at the bottom of the mat. And then coming back on up, pressing through the heels, opening through the elbows, letting the heart shine. And then one last time, coming back on down. Maybe this time you take it all the way down. Maybe the heels lift, that's okay. Maybe the heels stay lowered as you're in your little ball. And then open the elbows out wide once again, rolling back up. And then release the arms out wide. Just let yourself be free and open. And hands come back down towards your sides. So we're going to go through a little balancing series now. So we'll start at the top of our mat. The feet can be together or just about a finger's distance apart, little space there. You can bring your hands to your hips. We're going to come into tree pose. So bringing weight into the right foot, you can once again lift that left leg out in front of you so that it's hovering at 90 degrees. And then gently, using either the guidance of your left hand or just naturally, you can open that knee out wide so the hips come to the side. I'll demonstrate this way. And then with your hand, you can gently guide the inside of this left foot either to the inner thigh or the inner calf, or you can just allow this foot to gently rest on the ankle as the toes stay on the floor. And in this pose, you'll find your drishti, which is the gaze point, that unchanging point. Hands can come to the heart, or they can grow out long like branches. Squeeze in through the side body, so everything hugging towards that center line. And once again, remain fixated on that changelessness, that steady point. So coming out as we came in, you can bring the knee back through center so that it's out in front of you. And then once again, we'll come through a warrior three. So tipping it back as the torso comes forward, we shoot the left leg behind us and bring the palms facing down. If that doesn't feel good, you can bring the hands to the heart. If you want a little bit more core work, you can bring the hands out in front of you like Superman. 3 more breaths. And then stepping it back, high lunge, reaching the arms overhead. And then let the back heel plant so that it's parallel with the short edge of the mat, opening up to warrior two. So maybe you heel toe that front foot out a little wider. Your gaze is over that front middle finger. Hips and shoulders are stacked. Hug the belly in. And just allow the shoulders to rest on your back gently. Tip it back so that the back hand comes down your back leg as the right arm reaches up. Peaceful warrior. And then we'll come into half moon pose. So letting that right arm guide you as you come forward to bring weight into the right foot as the left hip opens up and the left hand points towards the sky. So you can bring your hand to your hip to really feel those hips stack. As you lift that left leg, flex the foot or point it, allowing really the energy to go through the active leg. Lift the left leg, the left arm towards the sky. Gaze can follow. This is a great place for a block if the balance doesn't feel nice. You bring a block underneath that right hand. And then slowly with control, bend through the right leg, stepping it back, and then bringing the right hand either to the inside of the front of that bent knee, or you can bring the forearm atop that bent right leg and bring the left arm over and across the left ear line, coming into side angle. So the back foot is parallel to the short edge of the mat, and then that front leg, the heel, is about in line with the inner arch of the back foot. Really press your elbow into your knee, opening the chest out wide, hugging through Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha. And then cartwheel the hands down so that they're framing the inside of that right leg that's bent. Back heel lifts. We're in a lizard lunge, so you can walk the right leg out even further if you want more in the hips. And then you can drop that back knee. If this is enough, this is a great hip opener. You can even come up onto fingertips or blocks. If there's any strain in this left psoas, you can always bring the knee in a bit closer. If you want a little bit more from it, you can come down onto elbows, or you can also bring weight into the left hand and maybe gently, just very gently press into the right knee as the inner arch of the right foot opens up. You just get an opening, a little different angle there for the hip. Pause here, find your depth. Not allowing any dumping, keeping a little bit of engagement through the side body, those stability muscles of the outer glutes. But really finding that balance between stability and suppleness. And then we'll all come onto the hands. You can lift the back knee up and then bringing weight into the hands and the right foot. We're going to step the left foot outside the left hand, coming into Malasana squat pose. So the toes point out, heels point in as you sink your seat down. If your spine is not straight or you find yourself rounding or the hips lifting and it's uncomfortable, you can bring a block underneath your seat to keep your heart lifting. As well, you can also sit back all the way and you'll still get a nice hip opening. As you sit down, keep the heart lifting and the belly hugging in, and the hands come through the heart center. 2 more rounds of breath here. And then rise up high, arms overhead. Hands come through heart center, heel toe the feet back together. Samasthiti. We'll take this on the other side. So now bringing weight into the left foot, bring your right knee out in front of you, hover above the ground. And bringing the right hand to the inside of the right knee, we'll just guide that knee open to the side, finding the nice hip opener, and then allowing the inside of the foot to come to either the thigh or the calf, or the keeping it on the floor and just perching there. So the hands can come through heart center. Also offer you a mudra, so can bring your hands like little cupping and squeeze them together so that they're interlocked. And then bring this over your head, feeling that nice connection through the arms. This is a great place for tensegrity, which is tensing the muscles to keep integrity even when we're not actively pushing anything away. We're tensing them and using them without putting weight on them. And this also creates a nice flow of circular energy through the body. You can bring the knee back out in front of you, hovering as we tip it back through our warrior 3. So right leg coming out behind. Feel those hips once again, keeping them nice and square. You have any of your options for arms. You can even bring them out in front of you to the mat or on blocks if you want a little bit more of a supported shape. And then we'll step it back, coming into high lunge, reaching the arms overhead. Again, if that hip flexor is not cooperating, or if you find that your back is tilting too much, really hugging through the belly and see if you can just keep that tailbone flat and straight. And then we'll open it up, warrior two. Hugging in through the belly. Gaze is nice and soft, feeling that strong connection from the left heel all the way through both glutes. And then tipping it back for peaceful warrior. The arm is reaching up and away from you before it comes back. You're just expansive, really extending out in all directions. And then allowing the left hand to guide you as we come into half moon. So bringing weight into the left foot as you open up through the right hip and the right leg is parallel to the floor. Your chest points towards the wall out to the right, and your right hand reaches up. Hug in through the belly. Maybe the gaze looks towards those top fingers. Press through the left big toe to keep you grounded. And then have a nice gentle bend in that left knee as you step the right foot back, coming into side angle. So the footing is the same as your warrior two, but now your left hand is either to the inside of your left foot as the right arm reaches up, or the right forearm comes to the left thigh. And the right arm can either be up towards the sky, or after you're nice and open and up, it can come over that ear line and reach you forward, but still keeping the heart light, chest lifted towards the sky. Weight is coming through the feet, not really much weight in the hands. You could just hover the fingertips. You should be able to feel nice and light. And then rolling that right arm down, bringing both hands to the inside of the foot. We're in our lizard lunge now. So you can heel toe that left foot out a little bit wider if you want. And maybe sink the hips forward and drop that back knee. Remember, both sides are never the same. So really stay curious, not forcing your body into any shapes that feel like too much. Remember, the goal is not to get to a certain pose or to a certain depth. It's really to just honor where we're at and create opening and length and suppleness so that we can continue to move for a very long time. So find any movement here, any rocking. You can keep the back knee lifted for a more active version, or you can come down to the elbows and just allow this more passive shape to just bring space into this often very tight area of the body, holds a lot of emotions, a lot of tension. And coming back up onto the hands, we'll take our last vinyasa here. So stepping the left foot back, coming into plank. You can lower halfway or all the way, chaturanga, or to the belly. Heart opens, upward facing, or cobra. And then tuck the toes, hips go up and back, downward facing dog. Last couple of breaths here. And then set the knees down, coming into a tabletop position. And then walk the hands out in front of you very far. And then begin to lower your chest towards the mat. Forearms come down. Maybe you come down even to the chin for puppy pose. So really opening through the shoulders. But whatever feels nice, don't do anything or press your shoulders into an uncomfortably open space. Maybe your chest comes to the mat. If this is a little too much, you can bring the hands out wider. That makes the opening a little less intense. And you can even grab for the top of your mat so that you feel a little more stable. And once again, maybe just hug through the belly and see how that changes your pose. So as you can see, when I let the chest fall and the hips go towards the sky, I get deeper. But when I engage through the stability muscles, hugging through the belly and the glutes, I don't get as deep, but I protect my shoulders from going into too far of an end range of motion. And then walking yourself back up through the tabletop. Walk the knees back a little lower, so knees, chest, chin to the mat, hugging the belly in. Sneaking on through for a low cobra. And lowering all the way down to the mat. So we're on our bellies. We'll take some finishing shapes here. So coming into some back bends on the belly, we'll take 3 back bends. So if you know that you like certain shapes, you can feel free to take whatever you like. I will cue 2 locust variations and then a bow. So starting out with locust, bring the hands flat on the mat out beside you, and then interlace them. You can do whatever feels nice. No need to do the non-dominant. And we'll begin to squeeze the shoulder blades together. And notice that action of squeezing the shoulder blades and automatically lifts the chest. And really press back with the hands. And the chest is lifting, then you can lift the back legs. Everything is open and up, squeezing through the glutes. Really squeezing again, lifting yourself up. Heart is light. 3 breaths here. Last breath, fullest expression, lifting everything up. And release it all down, making a pillow for your head. Maybe windshield wipering the feet back and forth, releasing the low back. And then coming back onto the belly. This time, we'll bring the arms out in front of us for a Superman variation. So we'll just slightly engage our Uddiyana Bandha, so the low belly lock that's hugging the belly button back towards the spine. And notice how the tail just slightly points downwards. And when we do that, the glutes turn on. We lift the legs up, reach the arms forward. Everything's lifting and light, energized from the fingertips through the feet. 3 breaths. Last breath, lifting, opening, and release. Bring the opposite cheek to the mat. You can roll the hips back and forth or windshield wiper them. Just allowing a release of anything you really need to let go of. And then our last back bend on the belly will be bow pose. So you can bend the knees, bringing them close into the chest, and reach back for the inner edges of the feet. So having a nice external rotation of the shoulders, opening them up. And then just lifting up the chest first and pressing through the feet into the hands. See how that automatically begins to lift your chest up. And using that motion of the feet lifting into the hands, lift the knees off the mat, the chest comes up. Everything lifts, your light pointing towards the sky. Lifting up here. 2 more breaths. Squeeze the knees together. Lifting through the legs. And lower yourself all the way down. Finding rest in whatever way feels good. And then pressing yourself up through a child's pose. Sinking the hips back. Arms forward. And then rolling up so that you're sitting on your heels. And then you can bring the feet out in front of you. Plant them on the mat and lower slowly onto your back. Bring the knees into the chest. Give them a nice squeeze. And then begin to take circles so that the knees come out and around and then back towards one another. So you're circling them out. And then you can take it in the opposite direction. So now the knees are both circling in opposite directions from one another. And then you can keep the knees together and circle them both towards the right and the opposite direction towards the left. And we'll take inversion here. So I'm going to cue shoulder stand. If you'd like a more passive inversion, you can take waterfall. So just having the feet up in front of you, or you can take Viparita Karani. So putting a block underneath the seat, just allowing yourself to slowly rest. You can also keep the feet up against the wall. For shoulder stand, it'll be more active. So squeezing the shoulder blades together already, using a little momentum to lift the hips up. The hands come to the low back as the feet point towards the sky. Keep your gaze steady at a point on the ceiling, not moving your neck at all. And maybe adjusting your elbows to come a little closer, squeezing them tightly, squeezing the glutes like one pencil line of energy here. And then to come out of this, we'll take plow. So slowly lowering the feet behind you, allowing them to come as far as feels good. If you feel like you can't reach the ground behind you, that's fine. Just keep your hands supporting your low back, allowing them to fall where they may. And then if they do meet the ground, you can tuck the toes and walk them back a little bit. Still keeping the neck stable, not moving the head around. The arms can release by your sides or still stay on the small of the low back. And if this is still feeling good in your spine and your hips, you can bend the knees and bring them towards your ears for deaf man's pose, kind of creating a little cocoon for your head made out of your legs. And squeeze the ears. And then coming out of plow, just slowly begin to lower the hips towards the ground so that the knees come very close to the face. Again, using your hands to support you, otherwise using your core to support you. Just lower the spine vertebrae by vertebrae until the feet come out overhead and you lower yourself slowly down towards the mat. Keeping yourself flat. We'll take some finishing twists, so you can bring the knees back in towards the chest and then gently guide them over towards the left as the knees fall. The right shoulder stays planted and gaze can stay over towards the right. If you'd like a little bit more deeper twist, you can extend the right leg long and the left leg long, keeping both legs straight. And feel that a little bit deeper. You can also grab for the big toe and hug it in a little bit more towards your face to get a nice IT band opener. Releasing the toe if you have it, bringing the knees back in towards your chest and letting them fall over to the right side, planting that left shoulder. Coming back through to center, giving the knees one last final squeeze, engaging all your muscles, bringing the nose towards the knees, hugging it in, getting as compact as possible. And then releasing it all, extending your limbs out long, allowing every muscle to be relaxed. Palms can face up towards the sky. Feet can splay out as we find final relaxation. Shavasana. I invite you to extend this Shavasana for as long as you find beneficial. Otherwise, you can bring some nice gentle movement to the body, being soft in the mind, allowing your focus and attention to stay open, spacious. Just rolling off to your right side, pressing yourself up to a seated position. Keeping the eyes closed. We'll end this class with one collective breath together. Breathing in, sighing out. Bringing the hands to heart center or your third eye. The light in me honors and sees the light in all of you. Thank you so much for joining me. Together we bow. Namaste.